worst of the lot are thieves or murderers. And the others we find floating face down in the harbor. But not you.
What's your beef with Avery?
Avery was born on the island, but she left for a good long spell. Didn't come back until, well, 10, 11 years ago? And since then, she's been trying to make us adopt all sorts of mainland nonsense. I ain't arguing she doesn't do good, or her heart being in the right place, but why change what ain't broke?
Mitch, I mean, since you did the captain's dance, maybe your uncle?
That's my own family business.
Ma'am, Mitch is too damn proud. But we're worried about Uncle Ken.
For Pete's sake. Pride is gonna be the death of you lot.
Captain's been saying that for years. Certainly, his uncle's in need.
I don't wanna intrude on anything personal.
Don't believe any of that family business garbage. Mitch needs you.
If my family was in trouble, I'd do anything to help them.
You hear that, Mitch? Even someone like her would ask for help.
What's wrong with his uncle?
Uncle Ken's the last one still living on the island. The last holdout.
Crazier than a bag full of starved mole rats, he is.
Mitch sent him some of the fog condensers? So he might still be alive. He's safe from the fog.
But the campground's got to be swarming with God knows what. Listen, it shames me to ask it. Oh, but he is my kin. Could you check up on him? And find some way to drag his hide back here. I'll pay, of course.
What if he won't come back?
Well, then at least check up on him, right? I'll pay the same regardless.
The island's dangerous. My services won't come cheap.
If you look into it, I can throw some supplies in to help in the fog. The plank ain't exactly flush with caps.
No promises, I'll get to it.
His homestead's the old visitor center, inland. And look out, he loves his traps.
If we pass the speech check, the supplies he gives us are 3 stim packs and 2 Radaway. We begin the quest, The Holdout. Search for Uncle Ken. Browsing his inventory.
Mitch,
Booze for the belly or bunk for the night?
let's see what you have on tap.
Music to the ears.
We see that he has a typical bartender's fare. Of note, he sells shotgun shells and offers shipments of glass. We can also rent a room from him.
I'd like to rent a room.
It's up the stairs.
And it's only 10 caps. Next, we can have a chat with Debbie.
You want a drink?
What do you have to drink?
All sorts of old world booze. We carry Vim, too. And before you ask, Vim is an Islander favorite. But it may pack more punch than the stuff you're used to.
Let's see what you have.
If you got caps, we got the goods.
She has a slightly different inventory compared to Mitch. She has different ammo types available, but she does share the same amount of money to barter with.
Need to drown your troubles? Talk to Mitch, the last plank.
Drown your worries in cheap booze.
Mitch is a chatterbox, talking almost as often as Alan Lee and Brooks. We see a door to the east that leads back outside to the drags. There's Tink, the infamous cat. And here we find Old Longfellow. He's the local guide we need to talk to if we want to get to Acadia. We'll have to come back and talk with him later.
Burns the belly, but gets the job done. Get it now.
Heading upstairs, we find our room first to the left, room number 1. Even though we rented the room, everything here is set to owned. We can't take from the containers and we can't store anything here safely without it becoming owned by Mitch. So it's really just a place to sleep. Many of the other patrons of the last plank aren't so lucky. We've got our own room, but there are a number of beds here without any privacy whatsoever, and they're almost all occupied. The eastern side of the upstairs is no different. A few more beds with harbormen sleeping here. This also appears to be Mitch and Debbie's office. There's a desk here with a typewriter, and despite the typewriter, we find a few handwritten notes, one of which is in the garbage can. Reading it, cats are dirty critters that pee indoors. They got no business being in a bar. Mitch. Wow, his hatred for cats is consistent. Then, reading the note on the desk itself, fine, but cats do not belong on top of chairs, tables, any place a paying customer would sit. Period. Firmly, Mitch. Goodness, I wonder exactly how long this strife over the cat's been going on.
Life's too bloody short to be sober. I, for one, won't go down unless I'm roaring drunk.
Heading back downstairs, we can explore behind the bar. Mitch has a small kitchen and a refrigerator to the southwest. Moving east, we find 2 notes tucked under the cash register. In the first one, Tink can sit wherever she wants, or you can wait the damn tables yourself. Firmly and sincerely, Debbie. And in the next one, if you think I'd choose you over Tink, you're sorely mistaken. Sincerely, Debbie. Man, she must really love that cat. And finally, crouching down, we find another note hiding beneath a Vim quartz. A pretty rare beverage. Despite all of our adventures so far, this is the first we've found. However, it is owned. We'd have to steal it. The note is labeled, Run. To whom it may concern, if you're reading this, I'm dead. The harbor's dead. And likely every damned soul on this island except the children of Adam are dead. My advice to you is, run. This island is cursed. It may be Adam, it may be the Red Death, it may be some angry ghost from the old world, but it's true. The fog or the cultists are coming for you. Leave, and tell everyone to leave this cursed island alone for good. Mitch. Goodness, poor old Mitch, he really does think he's about to die. Well, I wonder how poor old Uncle Ken is feeling. We find Tink happily standing on a nearby table. This cat doesn't follow the rules.
Drown your worries in cheap booze.
Well, we need to find Uncle Ken. Mitch told us he was at the nearby National Park Visitor Center, and he marked it on our map. It's not too far away, about halfway between here and Dalton Farm. Along the way, we find a number of ruins, including an abandoned pit stop with public restrooms and ghouls. In the women's restroom, if we open the stalls, we find one toilet that a garden gnome has been stuffing full of fish. For whatever reason, I can't tell. He also has a garden of carrots here, and there's a fish gingerly lying on the other toilet, too. I guess garden gnomes fish from toilets. Near to the showers, there's a chem box with chems inside, and just outside, we find the skeleton of a woman in a green cap holding a bottle of Vim. At least she died drinking what she loved. Nearby, we find a ruined bus next to a destroyed truck. In the bus is a novice-locked suitcase with goodies inside, and next to this is a cooler. The truck is hauling a flatbed, and on the bed is some sort of cage. The side of the cage is covered in Vim advertising, and heading around back, if we climb onto the flatbed, we find a human skeleton surrounded by blood. On the ground beneath his hand is Carlo's note. Carlo, look, I know you need the overtime, but you're literally walking around with a target painted on your back, man. We've lost 3 shipments the past month, and the last suit of power armor we sent out was stolen right off the truck. Whoever is doing this seems to be more interested in damaging Vim's equipment than hurting us. What I'm saying is that if crap goes down, ditch the power armor and get the hell out of there. I don't care what those dicks in marketing say. Willis Rudd. And then standing nearby in a compact power armor frame is a full suit of T-51B power armor with the fusion core and sporting a brand new Vim Refresh power armor paint scheme that comes new with the Far Harbor DLC. The lore on this note alludes to an attack on the Vim Cola Company, which we discover while exploring the Vim bottling plant. I covered this drama and how it connects to this power armor frame in my video on the bottling plant that you can watch here. Nearby, we find a campground next to some docks. By the tents, we find the skeleton of a woman missing her head. Looks like she might have died in some rockfall. And the skeleton of a man draped over a picnic table. Next to their tent is an explosives box. Interesting thing to take camping. At last, we arrive at the National Park Visitor Center. We see the Far Harbor fog condensers set up outside. This must be where we'll find Uncle Ken. The parking lot is still filled with a number of rusting wrecks. And we find part of a trapper corpse. How did this guy die? We haven't been here yet. Heading under the canopy, we find a Vim Cola machine, which strangely enough, has a Nuka-Cola Quantum inside. I'm sure that must be an oversight. And moving towards the visitor center, we find more trapper corpses. Oh, and a frag mine. Oh, suddenly we realize how these guys died. This whole place is booby-trapped with mines and bear traps. To move forward, we can disarm as many as we can find. We see corpses of trappers and feral ghouls leading all the way up the steps. The good news is that the visitor center does have signs of habitation. We see a cooking station nearby with a fire lit, and then in the garden just outside the building, we see an old man farming for corn. This is Uncle Ken, and he looks well. Talking to him,
Go away! You see? You see those corpses? They're from me! Unless you're ready for the long walk, go away!
You killed all of these? By yourself?
What? Just because I'm an old man, you don't think I can protect myself? Wrong!
Yeah, Mitch warned me you were crazy.
Mitch? My boy Mitch sent you? He was always a smart one. He sent me the fog condensers. Made it safe to breathe here. Glad to hear he still cares about his old uncle. But you... What? What have you done? They're coming! They're coming!
What? What's coming?
Who knows this time?
What the... This isn't my fault.
You trumping around, making noise. There's a whole ecosystem here, and you've kicked it.
Then let's work together.
Ah, fine.
What's the plan, Uncle Ken?
Let me think. I haven't reset my traps or repaired the defenses. Quick, do what you can with the workbench supplies. They'll be here soon.
with that, Uncle Ken gives us access to the workbench at the visitor center. We can now use this as a settlement, but first we've got to set up defenses. Sadly, I spent so much time nosing around outside that I didn't have a chance to put down one turret before we got attacked.
Getting along.
So Uncle Ken is constantly fighting off raids of trappers, ghouls, and God knows what else. And he survived for this long without any help from anyone else. Gotta say, I'm impressed. We can now use the National Park Visitor Center as a settlement. At the moment, we only have one settler, that's Uncle Ken himself, but the settlement is huge, almost as big as the Echo Lake Lumber Mill, making it one of the largest settlements in the entire game. I spent a great deal of time building up my National Park Visitor Center, and I gave a tour of the place in a video that you can watch here. But even if we don't turn it into a settlement, it's a good place to explore. Heading inside, if we turn right, we find the entrance to the Visitor Center gift shop, and on the front counter, we find a copy of Islander's Almanac, Recipe Roundup. You've unlocked sludge-based recipes at the chemistry station. This is the magazine I talked about in our second episode when I went over condensed fog. We have now unlocked 4 new recipes that all take condensed fog as an ingredient. The first is the Agile Sludge Pack, which increases action point regeneration compared to our current radiation level for 12 minutes. Then there's the Durable Sludge Pack, which increases damage resistance compared to our current radiation level for 12 minutes. Both of these are injectables like stim packs. The other 2 are beverages. The first is the Resilient Sludge Cocktail, which removes 150 rad resist, but grants us plus 75 to our maximum health for 12 minutes. And finally, there's the Strong Sludge Cocktail, which increases strength compared to our current radiation level for 12 minutes. These 2 look like big glass bottles with a cork inside. The substance within is murky. Doesn't really look appetizing. Since this is a potential settlement, there's not a lot of scrap or loot here. In the gift shop, we find a small selection of toys, a couple of cars, a rocket ship, a teddy bear, and some blocks. Moving back out to the lobby, we see a number of empty display cases. Then moving northeast, we find a bunch of other destroyed display cases and ruined computer terminals. There's a weapons workbench here and 2 bathrooms, both of which are empty. Then heading upstairs, we find more ruined display cases and what must be Uncle Ken's bed. Nearby he has a couple of bottles, one of which is Bob Rob's Best moonshine. Not sure exactly how Bob Rob's Best from Diamond City got all the way here to the island, but I guess we can chalk it up to Vadim's hustle. And a couple bottles of vodka. It must be a family favorite. It was vodka that Mitch gave us if we passed the dialogue check for something stronger. Moving into the employees only section, we find a couple of ruined office spaces. This leads to a makeshift deck outside, which connects through a hole in the wall to a staircase leading up to a walkway on the roof of the visitor center. Here we find a guard post, which I'm sure will come in quite handy as the settlement gets attacked in the future. After claiming this settlement, the place does get attacked quite frequently, not just by trappers and ghouls, but also by dangerous and horrible monsters from the fog. So it's a good idea to build this place up with excellent defenses. When done exploring, we can head back to the ground and check in with Uncle Ken.
Not bad. Mitch was a good boy to send you. But still, time to go. Goodbye. Goodbye. Before you attract more of them.
Why would you possibly stay here? It's dangerous.
My family's lived here for 7 generations. I will not disrespect their memory. Now go.
Stay here, and you're gonna be taking that long walk yourself.
Yes, walking's good for you. Now go.
Stay safe, Uncle Ken.
Yes, very safe. Now leave.
With that, Uncle Ken stays here at the National Park Visitor Center, and we can head back to Mitch at the last plank to let him know that Uncle Ken is safe.
I found Uncle Ken. He's still alive, but he won't come back.
That's cause for celebration.
We were worried about him.
He really is all right. Do you think he's safe?
Can we do anything to help him out?
If he's still clinging on, I might be able to convince a few locals to head his way.
His defenses were good, but it's a dangerous area.
Maybe I can see if some of the locals want to homestead again.
If I hadn't been there, he'd be dead already.
Ornery and headstrong. Maybe I can see if any locals want a chance to homestead again.
He's a lot tougher than he looks.
Maybe I should see if any of the locals want a chance to homestead again. As tough as he is, a few more guns. Here.
Mitch is at a loss for words.
Hush now. I owe you one.
With that, we complete the quest The Holdout, and Mitch gives us the Fire Belly recipe, which we'll go over in just a bit. Or instead of allowing Uncle Ken to stay at his home, we can try to convince him to come to Far Harbor.
Mitch sent me to bring you home, safely. Please, go to Far Harbor.
This is my home. And what? You want me to huddle like a beggar in Far Harbor? I can't just leave.
You have living family that cares about you. Are you just gonna turn your back on him?
I am an old man. I just want to live out my days on my land. You wouldn't understand.
It's your funeral, then.
Good. I'll be the only one in attendance. Now go.
How about this? I'm not asking you, old man. I'm dragging you back.
Oh, fine. Threaten an old man. Big shot. I'll go back. You have my word.
Just consider this a vacation. You'll come back later when it's safe.
You are so persistent. Fine. You happy? You've chased me from my home. I'll pack my things.
With that, Uncle Ken walks off towards Far Harbor. Heading back to Far Harbor, we see that Uncle Ken made it safe. He stands by the bar next to Mitch.
Hey there.
My boy!
She actually did it.
Did what? Chase me from my home? You should dump her in the harbor.
You're really not grateful? you get to see your boy again.
Ah, it is good to see family again. He never visits or writes.
You're a pain in the ass.
You're no snowflake either, mainlander.
Well, the job's done.
Oh, goody. Now I can live as a capless beggar. Thank you very much.
I probably saved your life.
Yes, big hero.
But if we choose this option, Uncle Ken is not exactly grateful.
You took me away from my home. Old Longfellow. Bah!
In our second episode, when I
You're always earning with Chase Freedom Unlimited.
I can't just leave.
Back homesteads, people are finally coming together. And all of it, it's all because of you.
What can I say? You guys pay well.
Then that's Cap's well spent.
You give me too much credit.
Hardly. With all you've done, including the captain's dance, I guarantee you, generations from now, we'll still talk about you.
I just wanted to help my friends.
We don't deserve you. Sincerely.
Well, you're welcome.
My people are so mired with their own concerns, I don't think they even realize that you saved us. All of us. Anything I give you or do for you, it just isn't enough. But take this, and thank you.
With that, we complete the quest, The Changing Tide, and Avery gives us the Rescue Diver Suit. Wearer gains ability to breathe underwater and protection from radiation. It grants +10 to ballistic and energy resistance and gives us a whopping 250 radiation resistance. But sadly, it can't be imbued with ballistic weave. Still, it's one of the best looking outfits we find in Far Harbor. It's an old diving suit resembling standard diving dress that was used by underwater workers in the 19th and early 20th century. It's covered in a green patina, and it has a small window that does reveal our character's face. Partially. You can see my character's goggles. Oh, actually, it looks kind of creepy. Now, we need to head back into the last plank and talk with this old Longfellow in hopes that he can take us to Acadia so that we can finally find the missing Nakano girl. We'll pick up right here where we leave off in my next episode. I publish many videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss that episode, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you have and you still feel like you're missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I've got a brand new shirt in the shop. Things live in the fog.
With Facebook Shops, connecting people with your business just got easier.
I want it to stop people in their tracks. I want them to see it, and I want them to think, I want that. I need that.
Sell your products right from Facebook or Instagram. Get started with Facebook Shops.
In our last episode, we helped Mitch at the last plank look out for his old Uncle Ken. But while we were there, we saw a man sitting at a table in the corner of the bar. This is old Longfellow, the very fellow whom Avery said knew how to get to Acadia, where hopefully we can find Miss Nakano. Now that we've helped everyone here in Far Harbor, we can finally have a chat with old Longfellow.
Captain Avery said you can get me to Acadia?
Heard there was a scuffle out there. You get your hands dirty? I'm done leading people to their deaths in the fog. Last fella couldn't keep up. Didn't last 5 minutes.
Can you tell me about Acadia?
Strange folk like there. Call themselves synths. Seems to me they just want to be left alone, to live their life in peace. They've done some good turns for us islanders. The fog condensers, most especially, wouldn't even be a Far Harbor left without those.
What's a fog condenser?
The condensers? They're a tricky bit of science. They keep the fog away. Powered by the wind farm, the synth fellas got up and running. Us islanders don't particularly like being obligated to them. But there you have it.
Now, as we just learned, Old Longfellow doesn't really want to take us to Acadia. There are 3 ways to convince him to do so. The first is to tug on his heartstrings using the family angle.
Some parents are worried about their runaway daughter. She went to Acadia, and I need to find her.
If someone's headed for Acadia, there's always a story. Yours worth dying over, huh?
Trust me, I've done a whole lot more for a whole lot less.
If that's the way you choose to live, that's your affair.
Look, if that girl's in some kind of trouble, time could be running out. We need your help.
Clever with words, are you?
The runaway's name is Kasumi. You know about her?
Sounds like Captain Avery's been running her mouth again. She should know better than to stick her nose where it's not wanted. Maybe I heard of her, maybe not.
This girl's all her family has. You'd have to be a real wretch not to give a damn.
Some mainlander family ain't no affair of mine.
Come on, give us a break. That girl could be in trouble.
Christ almighty. You've seen better days, haven't you? Can't imagine living with a face like that. Suppose I'll have to help you out of pity. Bah! This goes against all reason. But...
Or we can convince Longfellow that we're made of sterner stuff.
Oh yeah? If you don't give a damn about mainlanders, what do you care if I die out there?
Don't care much. But I got better things to do than guide fools to their death.
I'm not some no-name mainlander. I'm tough enough for your little island.
Sling a bit of lead on the hull and now you think you're ready to walk in the fog, do you? Things you'll see inland make that look like a Sunday stroll.
Not all mainlanders have fully functional power armor, though.
On that account, you'd be right, fine.
Really? Do I look like your average mainlander?
Truth be told, no.
I helped the harbor out. I figure all of you owe me something, at least.
If you're looking to square away some debt with the harbor, then you can get in line behind me. Well, I suppose there's a bit of truth there.
But if we fail at both of those options, we can always bribe him.
Everyone's got their price. How many caps is this gonna run me?
Keep your caps. If you're set on doing this, I'll take my pay in whiskey. The bartender Mitch sells it. Grab me a flask, and then we can work on getting you to Acadia alive.
Dude, can't I just pay you?
If you need me, then we do this my way. 1 bottle of whiskey.
I don't have it yet.
No skin off my nose.
Goodbye.
Hope you wise up and leave. Safer that way.
I'm sure the sole survivor would have been willing to pay more than it costs for a bottle of whiskey, but hey, if old Longfellow wants a bottle, we can certainly help him out. Whiskey's going for about 11 caps. That's his price. 11 caps. All right, old Longfellow, here you go.
Hey.
You got my whiskey yet?
Here you go.
Ah, now you're talking. I could get you to Acadia. But you've got to listen to me. Go where I say, when I say it. Still won't be easy. You stock up on your necessities, Rad-X and the like. And then the real work can begin.
Should I make any other preparations?
Ammo, stim packs, maybe a rocket or 3. Worse than Myra lurks out there.
Don't order me around, old man.
You want to make this a one-way trip? Then by all means, ignore me. If you want to live, then heed me.
I need to take care of a few things.
Handle your necessities, then off with you.
Let's go, Longfellow.
Follow me, then.
With that, old Longfellow stands up and heads out the door. But before we follow him, we see that he has left behind a bit of reading material. He was thumbing through a copy of Islander's Almanac, Far Harbor Sightseer's Guide. This magazine adds new points of interest to our Pip-Boy map. Specifically, it adds the Cliff's Edge Hotel, Aldersea Day Spa, the Oceanarium, the Eden Meadows Cinema, Rayburn Point, Southwest Harbor, the Cranberry Island Bog, and the Old Pond House to our map. We'll be sure to explore each of these points of interest in due time. But for now, we need to hop back into our power armor and follow old Longfellow. He meets us just outside.
Let's head out of town. Acadia is above the fog line on the mountain. It's a bit of a hike. You might want to take this for the road. Tastes foul as sin, but it'll help.
He gives us a stick of Mirelurk Jerky, a new consumable with Far Harbor. It heals 35 hit points, grants us plus 15 to poison resistance, and gives us temporarily a whopping plus 3 to perception. We can also craft this at any cooking station. To make one, it takes 2 pieces of Mirelurk meat, 2 tarberries, and 1 bottle of antifreeze. Ugh.
We need to move through the main drag. Old Mountain Trail where we're headed. The fog ain't like nothing you've seen in the Commonwealth. Mainlanders think a dose of Radaway is all you need. Tracks, fresh ones. Trappers ahead. When the bullets start flying, find cover. Keep your head down if you want to live.
In the middle of the road by an abandoned super-duper mart, we get ambushed by trappers.
Look sharp! You're not half bad in a scrap. Figured I'd have to take care of a lot of them. Might just make a proper Far Harbor woman out of you. See, the fog can do a number on you. Get you all turned around. Does something to your brain. Trappers were mean to begin with, but now...
When done, old Longfellow continues on his way, until we pass an old maritime museum